Redken family, thank you so much for viewing my audition video. My name is Lori Hadlock. I am the education director of an elite salon in Carson City called Platinum. I've been affiliated with Redken my entire career. Their motto of earn, learn, and live, and science through beauty are timeless foundations that I have watched thrive through the splashy and the new and the gimmicks, and they forge through because the foundation of this company honors the stylist and honors the guest. I'm guessing you'd like to know a little bit about the person that you may be potentially hiring. My drive, my passion, and my why. I started in this industry right after I graduated from high school. I was lucky enough to show horses on a national scale. And I too wanted to have that financial gain that I watched my parents have. And so when I was at the horse shows, I was hired out to braid manes and tails for the English horses and to do buns and braids for the riders. It was a very lucrative business. I did really well for myself. And my friend and stylist at the time, Larry Walthers, used to say to me, "Girl, you have got some great finger dexterity. You ought to think about doing hair." And I watched him be able to go to the horse shows, his financial freedom, his time leverage, and I thought to myself, I really love doing my hair. I love doing my girlfriend's hair. I can see where I can be social in this industry, and I can be artistic and creative. What better industry is there? Yes, I do believe we are in the best industry in the world. I was getting, where are you going to college? What is your next move? What are you doing with your future? And I would say with exuberance and excitement, I'm going to beauty college, or I'm attending the beauty school. And I would say it with such excitement, and I would get a pat on the shoulder or a oh, and comments like, well, it's better than being a secretary, Lori. Or it was, at least you can do that while you go through college, and many other interesting comments. So to this day, I still say to people that ask, Lori, how did you get into this? And I said, it was my choice. This is what I wanted. I had so many choices. This wasn't a consolation prize. This was my passion. I recently wrote a book that will be launching this fall, and this story is in it. As the education director of our salon, I really get to utilize my creativity and think about fun ways to stimulate our staff. We have trainings every other Monday on color, design, the art of professionalism, how to build and maintain a clientele, face shape. That tells you a little bit about me, that tells you a little bit about a salon that I'm so proud of, and it tells you a little bit about the reason why through our assisting program, which I love. It's a year long and I get better at it every time. The manual's coming along beautifully. Two of my previous assistants are now Redken artists, and I'm very proud of that. And so I'm a mom to them, I'm a friend, I'm a mentor, and I'm a student of our craft every single day. So without further ado, I would like to show you a really fun, usable, wearable cut that I like in the salon, and we'll get started. Thank you. The color has been applied with the current wants and washes, and I'm really enjoying all that fun diversity in color. I smoothed out one of the sides to show its versatility, and then I did a beachy wave and finished it with our amazing Fashion Waves 07. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. I know some of you left your families or were able to make some money behind the chair at the salon, but you chose to invest in yourself. In the salon this year, our word is present. And present means a lot of things, but for our clients, it means being there for them with the most relevant information and giving 100% to our guests. So with that being said, let's get going. So this is for a really fun and quick haircut for the salon. I cannot stress that enough. So with her finer hair, One of the things we're going to do that we usually separate out for is we're going to cut the perimeter before we actually do the sectioning, because we're going to leave it long. If we had a guest with thicker hair, would you find it relevant to make sure that we sectioned out and dropped the hair as we went? Anybody? Yes, absolutely. We would want to do that. Thank you, Georgine, for sharing with us. So I'm just going to go through and snip off those ends before we actually do the sectioning. So the number one thing you want to do if you want to take this down for your notes is cut the perimeter. Now I will section from front to back loosely, but there's no need to really clip it off because we really want to cut the hair in the natural falling position. To cut horizontally, a great way to check your finger angle is to hold the comb on your finger. So as I bring this down and I cut, I want to make sure that I'm measuring for a perfect straight line by putting the comb between my fingers and measuring. You want to be really careful not to go into the fatty part of your hand, because what will happen there? Anyone? Yes, Nikki. If you couldn't hear, Nikki was saying that it would bend the comb because it wouldn't be straight anymore. So you want to bring this down, check for evenness, no elevation, and cut. And then just cut this whole perimeter of fine hair with no elevation, keeping your body position right in front of the section that you're working on so that you don't drag, over direct. Section off into 4 quadrants. So what we want to do first is what? Anybody know? Yes, Julie. Right, we want to find the high point of the head. So we gently just lay the comb on top of the head, and where it starts to come off is where the head is changing direction. At the highest point, you want to bring that section straight down to create the front and the back by putting your finger on top of the ear. That's where the head changes directions, and I will demonstrate that in a moment. Blouse it, and sure enough, it comes up every time. This is a pretty simple part of this sectioning right now. And then I like to hold my finger right at the nape of the neck, especially on these mannequin heads. There's a wonderful little line to help you. If you hold your finger where you want the comb to end up, it's amazing how our fingers will come together. Again, we'll do this on the other side. So that's going to be the first section, the first area we're going to address. One of the first points of reference, and points of reference means what? Yes, Areli, where the head changes direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger at the corner of the eye. We're going to go straight up, and sure enough, that's exactly where the head changes direction. This is a really comfortable place for the fringe to be. It grows out nicely, it lays nicely, and it really is the true balance on their face of where the fringe should live. So you want to section that off. Again, put your finger at the corner of the eye, go straight up. And you have found your fringe. Now here's the amazing thing about it. If you ever question if this works, we use the comb a lot in the salon to measure and make sure that we are combing, sectioning, styling, and cutting the hair truly where it lives. So if you lay the comb on the hairline and gently hold it, the same area that the comb is popping off is where the section for the fringe is. So it's truly true to the head form. I highly recommend, if you haven't viewed the Chris Barron Fuel for Design, it is truly everything you ever needed to know about hair design, about how the hair moves on the head. It is so fundamental and the principles are priceless. Now this is where it gets fun, on the interior. So what we're going to do is we have the fringe completed, and now we're going to put the section in that we're going to call A, right here on the side. And what's beautiful about it is if you lay the comb above the ear, the head will change direction at the round of the head, the ridge of the head, and then you will 45 that direction up. So here's an example of how this will work. We want to make a 45 degree angle section. If I lay the comb on the head gently and without pushing, and I hold my finger where the head changed directions, and I go up to 45 degrees, this is our top section. And I don't recommend doing it tight like this all the time, but I'm doing it for the sake of training so you can really see how beautiful that line is. Because the head is balanced and will match, if we section again the same way on this side, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in the last section in the back. We're going to go about 1/4 of an inch above the front 45 and section back at a 45 diagonal back. So we have these as A, B, C, and D for future reference. So the back section should have strong lines like this. You also want to clip those off separately. So here's the sectioning on the side. One more time. before we get going any further, does anybody have any questions about the sectioning? Yes, Cindy. All right, great question. Give her a hand. Awesome. How do you know, if you weren't able to hear, how do you know exactly where to lay it? There's two schools of thought. The thicker you want the bottom of this, the more hair you would put, the higher up you would go, the more dramatic your 45-degree angles would be. Wouldn't you agree? Then you have more hair in the bottom sections and less hair cut on the top. Also, watch the planes of the head, and they change everywhere on the head. Again, you can learn a lot about all of these fundamentals that I'm talking about in the Chris Barron Fuel for Design. But the head will change direction and tell you where the next plane will be. So this is where advanced cutting and what you're providing at your salon that other salons are not, you have this opportunity to be creative and add your own twist to it. It would also depend the sectioning on the thickness of hair, correct? Great. Any other questions before we get started? All right, let's move on. Now to the cutting. So as much time as it took to do the sectioning, the cutting is very quick. So remember, I marked these first sections down here, section A. So what we're going to do with section A is we're going to bring them out all at one time to a 90-degree over direction from the front of the hairline to the parting on both sides. So what that means is this. We will take this entire section, we will over direct it all the way to the line that parts from front to back. So over direction is what kind of movement? Anyone? Yes, Tammy. Side to side. How do we view over direction? Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much, Caitlin. From the top. So we're going to over direct the front. I need to stand in front of this section because I need to keep my arms out of my own way. So I'm going to bring this first section, which I'm going to turn us both around here. I'm going to bring this full section and over direct it, keeping it 90 off the head. My finger angle is going to be 90 and over direct it to the center line, to the parting that separates the front to the back. So where do I choose? How do I choose the length? Again, that's your own creativity. So if the hair's finer or you want it a little fuller on the bottom, or your guest has expressed concern about it being too thin, let some of it drop. Let the perimeter drop. Then you know that you're handled, you're taken care of. Then you come in, you turn your finger, check in your mirror that you're 90 off the head. Bring your finger angle to a 90. This is where it gets really fun. You can just go in and cut it. You can go in and chip it. You can point cut it. You can use your texturizing shears. With this type of hair, I like to go in and chip right away. So I'll use an imaginary line off of my finger angle and chip the hair. And chipping is a going in, talking, slicing, going in, talking, slicing. Review, look at it. I'm getting some nice movement in there. And you can go in over the top. Now, would it behoove me to stand this way and stand the same way on the left side, or would I turn around? Yes? Perfect, thank you. It would be best for me to turn around. The back section. This is what we're calling section B. We're going to take that whole section in one swipe and we're going to over direct from the back with a 90-degree line here to that parting that separates the front to the back. So by doing this and moving this hair all towards the front, are we getting minimal or maximum over direction? Definitely maximum to that section. And where is the length going to be in this over direction? Anyone? Yes, Jeremy. In the back. Great, thank you. Now here, if you want, just for measurement, you can take one small little piece from that corner section that can be your guideline. We're going to over direct this whole section. Again, keeping a 90-degree line off of the head. Here's our line. Some of this is going to drop because the perimeter's been cut. And when you're doing these finger angles at a 90, get your elbow up, because if you drop, immediately that will drop. And then what changes volume in a shape is your finger angle. So now you're going to lose volume at the end because your elbow drops. So get that elbow up there, be really present with your body, and know what 90 looks like through the whole entire cut. And just for giggles, I will show you how you can also utilize your texturizing shears. Now, these two sections up front are section C. We are going to over direct the front section from this corner to the center parting, 45 degrees over the head, finger angle 45. Again, what does our finger angle do? It creates the volume in the shape. Questions, anyone? How do I know how much I want to cut? Great, great question. So, depending on how deep I want that interior detachment, that interior layering, is how much I'm going to cut. So for the purpose of showing you really how detached this haircut can be, first of all, I'm going to show you how to over direct this whole section to the center parting. So everything's going to be over directed here. Now I'm going to move her to the side, this way, to the side, 45 degrees off of the head, finger angle 45, going shorter to long. I'm going to cut this because I really want some serious detachment. And then I'm going to go in and really chip this design out. So again, I will be bringing that whole section to the center line. section, before we go to the perimeter, we're going to take the back section, the back sections, in 2 swipes, 1 on each corner. And we're going to go straight up, straight out at a 45, excuse me. $45 off the head, over directed to the center part, finger angle 45. All that section cut. This piece is falling, so it's short enough. If it's thick, really get down in there and do some chipping. Save that section out because you're on your last section. Now for the fringe. Go in on the low set of their nose, put my finger at a 90, go over the top, twist at a 180, drop my finger in there. I really like to clean this out. Put my fingers level and snip. Now, before I do any cleanup, any work, blow these dry. You really want to see if any calyx are working. So, this is blown dry and not touched up. So what I like to do in this segment is either use my shears or my thinning shears, my texturizing shears, and go in and follow, pat down, get as close as I can, because if I elevate, I create graduation. Even my finger width, with my fingers under there, is going to create some unwanted graduation in the shape. And I really do want to keep that look blunt. That doesn't mean, though, that maybe a little bit of work on the ends or texturizing on the ends will really make it so intricate and beautiful. So if you have an end or a side that maybe needs a little bit of work, drop your comb in, get as close to, and ask them to shut their eye, but bring it along here. Follow the line of the finish line. Use your shears and just clean up the bottom. Redken team, thank you so much for taking the time to view my video, to listen to my story, to embrace my why, and understand my passion for this business. I have a lot to offer. I'm a seasoned veteran, if you will. I just want to step in there and learn as much as I can and spread the word and have a pedigree of people who love Redken as much as I do, love this work and have the passion I have for it. So thank you. Again, have a wonderful day and go Redken.